Hello everybody, Lord Almighty here. Today is Saturday, August 7th, 2021. It is close to 90 degrees out, it is humid as all heck, and the air conditioner in my house is currently not working. So I decided to beat the heat by doing a little bit of wet wading here at the Raritan River. And I'm going to start out by throwing around an old classic, which is the curly-tail grub on an 1/8 ounce lead head. So here we go, in a case where personal comfort and my desire to fish intersect. Gonna see if we can't get a bite going. I haven't fished this part of the river a lot this year, mainly because it just hasn't been producing like it used to over the past few years. Seems like it's lost a little bit of its punch. But I was reading recently that the state DEP is finalizing plans to have this dam removed. And that is going to be a very bittersweet day when that happens. I have caught a lot of fish underneath this dam. But on the other hand, taking the dams out is only going to make the river healthier. So in the long run, it's going to be better for things. I'm seeing a lot of little fish. I see some little sunfish and a couple little largemouths right here in front of me. But so far, nothing big enough to get this jig in their mouths. Alright, well, the curl-tail grub was getting ignored, so I switched over to the Texas rig tube. This is a 2 3/4 inch tube, so it's a little bit smaller than the full-size ones that I used. And I've got it on a 1/16 ounce weight, so it's not too heavy. It'll bounce pretty naturally along the bottom. At least that's the plan. It all depends on what the fish see, not what I think. There we go, fish on. Oh, it came off. That looked like a smallmouth. All right, well, we're getting hits. All right, guys, well, a bit of a situation has developed. When my GoPro battery ran out, I was unable to remove it from the camera. And the reason is, and this has been going on for over a month now, the side walls of the batteries are actually bulging outwards a little bit, and I'm not quite sure what that means. I don't know if that means the batteries are going bad. The batteries are still holding a charge just fine, and they work just fine in the camera, but the issue is just that the batteries are, you know, they're bulging out a little bit, and you know, it's been difficult to remove the batteries, but I've always been able to finagle it out of there by grabbing this tab and just kind of working the battery back and forth a little bit. But unfortunately now it seems to have gotten to a point where, you know, I was jiggling the battery and look at that. The side plate for the battery just popped right off. And the battery, of course, is still stuck in there, which is not good. As far as I know, the camera is fine. It just probably means I need to get a bunch of new batteries for it. So what you're seeing right now is this is being recorded on my Hero 3, which I kept around even after upgrading to the Hero 8, in the possible event of you know, this camera failing for some reason, which guess what, it has. So for the rest of the day, you're gonna have to suffer through a little bit less video quality with the Hero 3, but at least the show will go on. And as a matter of fact, it is going to go on at a different spot. So I will see you in a couple of seconds. All right, everybody, I moved downstream from the falls, maybe about a mile, and I'm still using the tube jig, but I switched over to a larger tube. This is a 3.5 inch tube, which is of course larger than the 2 3/4 inch tube I was using before. And I'll tell you why I made the switch. It's because The 2 3/4 inch tubes were a brand that I had never used before, called Mismo. And the plastic of the tube was really thick, and it was tough to push down on the hook shank. So I just had a feeling that with that thick plastic in the way, I wouldn't get very many good hook sets. And you saw that one fish that I hooked, the hook just pulled right out. And you know, I think it's just because the hook point just didn't penetrate well through that plastic. So I switched over to the 3 1/2 inch tube, which is a different brand. It's a Cabela's brand, and that has much softer plastic. So I think I'm going to have a much easier time setting the hook on this one with the Texas rig. So the Mismo tubes, I think I'm going to avoid using those on a Texas rig. I'm probably going to use those on like a jig head or an exposed hook, where I think they'll work a lot better. Alright, nothing on the tube, but I am seeing a little bit of surface activity, so I switched over to the Pop R in the small size, and I'm going to see if that can't get any of these fish going. It's been a while since there's been a sustainable topwater bite. I'd love if I can find one today. And look at that! Whoa! Did you see that? Man, he took off like a rocket. God, when they do that, I don't even care if they spit the hook. Unless they're big, then I'm crestfallen. But little guys, yeah, if they can give me a show, I don't really care if I land them. There we go. Feels like another small fry. Oh, now he's pulling. Oh, and there's a smallie with him. Look at that. Alright, there we go. First fish of the evening. And it came on the popper. Oh, wow, look at that. This fish has like a deformed lip. Maybe somebody caught him when he was younger and ripped his bottom lip off. But anyway, he was well enough to hit that popper, so I got a feeling he's going to be just fine. Well, I got a couple of other half-hearted slaps on this popper, but otherwise no action. So I think I'm going to bail on this spot and hit one more place before it gets too dark to see. So I will see you in a couple of seconds. Alright guys, here we are, last stop of the evening. I've got about an hour of daylight left, maybe less since it's cloudy. So running out of time to make something happen. But when I absolutely, positively have to catch a smallmouth bass, this is the place I come to do it. Oh, there we go. Wow, he really crushed that one. Not a big one, but I'll take him. Okay. Another one that took that popper. Man, I love it when they're on the topwater. There's no more fun way to catch them. Alright, well, I can't work the pop R through this run very well because of the swift current, so I switched over to one of those Mismo tubes and I got it rigged on a jig head. Back to what I was saying before, I think they'll work better on an open hook than on a Texas rig, so we'll see if that holds true. And of course I get snagged on the first cast. That's another thing I don't like about fishing them on open hooks. They get hung up on everything down there. Alright, well that tube jig was snagging up way too much and finally wound up breaking it off. So I switched to a smaller tube on the 1/32 ounce jig head. Still an exposed hook, but this is a lot lighter, so it might have a tendency to tumble over the bottom as opposed to stick into it. Is that a fish? Oh, it sure is. That's a smallie on a little tube. Another little guy. Hope there's at least one big one that wants to play before the evening is over. Oh, there we go. Feels like it might be a little bit better. Don't know how much better. Ooh! He's not bad. Don't know how well this guy's hooked. Let's get him in the net. Alright. Oh, good thing I netted him. Look at that. It popped right out. Alright. He's pushing a pound or so. Decent little fish. Alright. They're getting bigger. Now we just need Big Mama to come out and play. There we go. Oh, love the jump. Love the jump. Ah, okay. They are on the tube. Wonder why they weren't on the tube at the last spot. Oh well. Oh, there's another one. Jeez. Oh, haha, sunfish. Decent sized redbreast though. Alrighty, oop, there he goes. Oh, there we go. Ah, it's another sunfish. This one might be bigger than the last one. He is a chonky sunfish. Alright everybody, my evening of fishing is going to end right here. Started out pretty inauspiciously today. didn't get anything at the first spot and ran into some problems with my GoPro Hero 8, but brought the trusty Hero 3 out of retirement and was able to power through the day and wind up getting a few smallies on top and on tubes. So all in all, turned out to be a pretty enjoyable evening on the river. Now I gotta go back home and order some new GoPro batteries from the non-comfort of my currently non-air-conditioned home. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next adventure.